Well, here we are, and another Friday has come round already. I can't believe how quickly the weeks are flying past. It's been an odd one weather-wise, hasn't it? We had a fantastic day here on Wednesday, but it's been a bit miserable some of the rest of the time. I don't know how it's been down in Swanage, but I hope overall that you've had a good week and achieved a few things that you've wanted to achieve along the way. I had a very enjoyable and slightly unusual time last night. I was invited by the RSCM to lead a webinar to talk about a new initiative they've got. In September they're holding an International Chorister Day. They're trying to encourage more children to join choirs and trying to recruit more choristers for churches across the country, in fact across the world, so it was an international thing actually. And they asked me whether I would talk to Laura Wright, soprano, BBC Songs of Praise presenter, who was in All Angels that I was involved in all those years ago. If I talked to her, she won the BBC Chorister of the Year competition a few years ago. And sort of we would just talk about the benefits of being a chorister and the things that it gives you, the life skills that it gives you. And it was a really interesting conversation to have and talk to Laura about, her perception of all the benefits of singing in a choir, really, and all the things that we miss at the moment in this pandemic. I've never done a webinar before, so it was sort of live, and people could ask questions along the way. So you have to sort of keep your eye on the time, because we had an hour, and you have to keep your eye on another corner if any questions came in, and then you had to sort of feed the questions in and all of that. It was quite exciting, really. But and do you know what? Benji the dog, he came in because Gwen was teaching at the same time, so Benji came in, and 9.5 times out of 10 he's absolutely quiet. What did he do last night? On about 6 occasions he barked. He wanted to go out, wanted to go for a wee, and here's me talking to people who've paid good money to listen to me spouting away. Anyway, that was a first for me, but quite a lot of fun. Good. So I have got 1 or 2 more stupid facts for you, just for fun. The first one is a bit macabre, really. Did you know that there are 2 skulls in Haydn's tomb? 2 skulls. Many years ago, some phrenologists, those are people who look at skulls, their shape, size, etc. They broke into Haydn's tomb and pinched his skull, and so a replacement one was put in. Don't ask me why, but it was. And then in 1954, the original skull was found, or whatever, replaced, but the substitute was left in there as well. So there are 2 skulls in Haydn's tomb. How about that? Tchaikovsky, apparently he was a severe hypochondriac. I think we call those something different now from hypochondriac. But apparently, this is a little bit far-fetched, but I've read it in 2 sources now. Apparently, whenever he was conducting the orchestra or something, he'd hold his chin. And the reason he'd hold his chin because he thought his head would fall off. It's a bit far-fetched, isn't it? But I've read that in 2 August magazines. And thirdly, just for fun, Hector Berlioz, that wonderful French composer, he was basically just a megalomaniac. He wanted everything to be bigger, better than everybody else. Now his Grand Messe des Morts, which was a requiem mass, he stipulated that there should be a choir of at least 800 singers. Not bad, eh? 4 brass bands. And I looked at the score this week, and in the other parts, strings, only 50 violins. There are 25 first violins, 25 second violins, 20 violas, 20 cellos, 18 double basses, 8 pairs of timpani. All right, so quite extraordinary, really. Just, modest little number, really. But there we go, that's Hector Berlioz for you. SwanageTeam.com, I had a brainstorm there, SwanageTeam.com, and you will find on there the online services for this week. and any other information, news from the parish. And sadly, we're still stuck with only 6 singers, no movement there at all. So John and I feel that for the next 4 weeks we're still going to be without the choir, without choral evensong, and just with a very, very reduced choir. It's a shame when you see all those people singing at the football matches. It's wonderful to see them singing at the football, but it's a shame for all of us who want to get back to singing in church and, you know, in halls, concert halls, etc., etc., etc. But there we go. So for my recommendation for this week, I was reminded of these 2 pieces, listening to choral evensong again this week, which came from Rugby School. I listened because a great friend of mine is the director of music there, and they're doing wonderful things there. Anyway, the canticles were set to Stanford in G. And I think, going back to my earliest recollections of singing, I started my singing career, as it was, not a very distinguished one, as a chorister at St Mary Redcliffe in Bristol for a very short time. And you know, I think Stanford in G, the Nunc Dimittis and the Magnificat, I think they're almost the first canticles I remember. And I have to say, all my life I've thought that when I go to that big choir vestry in the sky, that I'd like to have the Nunc Dimittis of Stanford in G sung at my funeral, because I just think it is absolutely amazing. Anyway, the rugby choir were extraordinarily good, and it was a wonderful, wonderful occasion. So I'm going to point you to actually a recording by St John's College, Cambridge, and the music's there as well. It's an extraordinary setting for many reasons. I mean, Stanford, as you probably know, wrote a number of settings: C, F, B flat, G, and he composed for the morning canticles, the Te Deum, the Benedictus, the Jubilate, and for the evening ones. And some of them, like B flat and indeed G, he orchestrated as well. You know, he was obviously a brilliant composer, and he taught at the Royal College of Music, and the G canticles were dedicated to his colleague Sir George Martin, who was organist of St Paul's, but also a professor at the Royal College of Music. And they really display sort of symphonic ideas and the influences of people like Brahms, Germanic influence. But the Magnificat and the Nunc Dimittis have a sort of German leader feel to them. It's very, the Magnificat particularly is like sort of Schubert, really. It has this wonderful, wonderful accompaniment. It's often known as the spinning wheel Magnificat, and the idea of Mary sitting at the spinning wheel singing her song. And it's set for a treble solo, and the choir parts are really incidental to the whole thing. The treble solo is the feature of it. It's a fantastic organ part, and it's just this lovely idea of the spinning wheel going round as all these lovely top Gs. And then the Nunc Dimittis, the Song of Simeon, again, a lovely approach. It opens with just one little motif, which is what he uses for Depart in Peace. And you hear that. And then it's set for baritone, Simeon as the baritone. And the choir answer him. And it has a wonderful sort of climax, it to be a light to life in the Gentiles. But for me, the best bit of all is the Gloria of the Nunc Dimittis, which is really, really quiet, really quiet. And have a listen when it gets to the last bit, world without end, world without end. There's a sort of cascade, soprano, alto, tenor. Since I was about 7 years old, that has never ceased to put hairs standing up the back of my head. It is just one of the great moments of music for me. Every time I hear it, I absolutely love it. World without end. Listen to that. And then just for a laugh, I don't know see what you think. Those of you who are old enough to remember, or who used to watch Andy Pandy, you remember Andy Pandy, Watch His Mother? Well, I always used to laugh and tell the Salisbury choristers when we got to that world without end, and then you have a little Amen. And they always sounded like the goodbye of Andy Pandy and Teddy at the end of Watch His Mother. You think I've gone completely mad. I think I have. But there we go. So, Stanford in G, Maganunk. Enjoy, if you don't know it, it is just wonderful. So, I better go and do some singing warm-up exercises for you. Hang on just a second. I was going to follow that allusion to Watch with Mother by saying to you all now, are you sitting comfortably? Now we'll begin. But I won't. Right, so hopefully you are sitting comfortably or standing comfortably. And let's start with the siren. Let's do it very slightly differently today. Let's put our tongue behind our top teeth. Just let the jaw relax slightly and we'll sing to NG. We'll do the siren to NG, just like this. There we go, not too bad. So we'll start in C major and we're just going to sing triads and we'll sing it to oo, going ooh, okay? Any of those really. Now let's C major again. Let's just do E and R, just going down the scale, going E, I, 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 E, R. And every time you sing the R, just let that jaw just flop and just be really relaxed, no tension at all. Okay, 2, 3, 4. E, I, E, I, E, I, E, I, E, I, E, I, E, Good. So, and last of all, shall we do our old favourite? Just to go. A, R, E. 1, 2, 3. I'll leave you to it. Last one. Good. I wasn't very good at that, but hopefully you were. So I hope that just got you warmed up. So as ever, I hope to see a few of you at church on Sunday, and for the rest of you, I hope that it won't be too long before our paths cross again. We're still hoping that come the beginning of September we can start Come and Sings again, and fingers crossed that the choir, St Mary's Choir, can be back again towards the end of July, but we'll keep you posted on that. But until then, stay safe, have a good week, Have fun.